Good morning. Let's get into Leviticus chapter 25. In this chapter, we are going to learn how God is over the agriculture of the land, and He's over the land itself. He's over the real estate. He's over the banks. We're going to see how He says, do the land. We're going to see how He says, do the debt. We're going to see how He says, do land, debt, and land, debt, and real estate. May not be in that order, but He's getting ready to explain that I got you covered. This is like a river that's flowing. Excuse me. A river that's flowing, and the boat is, He's navigating how He wants things to be done once they get into that land that He promised. So God is saying, I don't just send you to a place, I prepare you. And if you're wise, you will listen to me before you go. See how I want things done? I'm definitely going to bring you into it. I just want you to follow my guidelines. So we are still at Mount Sinai. God is still talking to Moses. So everything is flowing. And I see the danger of what people have done over time just by watching people stand firm on what they believe. They open up the book, they go to chapter 25 and say, oh, the Lord said, I'm not supposed to do this. You know, there was a process that brought you to this point that is connected to chapter 24, chapter 23, chapter 22, all the way back to where? In the beginning. So we have read from Genesis all the way up to Leviticus chapter 25, and there has not been a gap. God has continued to talk, to instruct, and now He's talking today concerning what's going to happen when you get to the promised land. This could be a lesson to us that when we get ready to adventure into something new. Do you know enough about what to do once you get it? Imagine God talking to a group of people who have been incarcerated or in bondage for over 400 years. And now He's getting ready to loose them into a new land. He said, I got to give you some instructions, because once you get there, you got to know what to do, what to stay away from, what to get involved with, what's going to be yours. You know, you got to know the ins and outs. For instance, if you get married, you need to talk about the lesson of being married. So once you get into the environment of marriage, when two people trying to live together, then when you run into these hurdles, you won't be ready to run out. Because what happens when you set somebody free into something, and then they run into a course of life that they don't understand, normally what we do is we go back to where we found comfortable. So the children of Israel had to know what to do with all this freedom that they had. So God is giving them instruction through Moses. This is what you're going to do when you get there. This is going to be yours, and let me tell you how to protect it and what to do when you get it. Because if you don't, you're going to end up being back where you were comfortable, and that's not what I want you to be. You are free people. You're going to be owners of, well, you're going to be leasing, really, because all the things are mine. And then I just want to show you how I want you to use it and not abuse it. And this chapter is a very good book to get to know how God just thinks about us and how He wants us to have things, but we got to follow His instructions. And I really do believe, I wholeheartedly believe that we are so ignorant of the Word of God until something slipped, and now we're in a position where we don't really know what to do. So this is the time to run to God's Word and carefully see what is it that we can do to get over this thing that we can't control. Because God definitely had a plan. So let's see what He's doing today with the land. Good morning, P.A. Hill. All right, let's get into Leviticus chapter 25. Very interesting. All right, now this is connected to all of God's other instructions. So don't think God is getting ready to start a religion here. This is what people have done. They start a religion and fight over it. And then they'll point to the scripture and just go into the 25th chapter and just claim that this is what God said. No, this is connecting the other orders, more orders that God is giving Israel as they proceed to go to the land that he promised. Father, thank you for your word. Thank you for me coming as a child. Forgive me for anything that I have done that's wrong. And forgive me, help me to forgive those who have wronged me. And that's a good part. Just open up every day, and you are the power, the glory, your word, the keeper of your word, the exciting part of life. This is where we can breathe because it makes sense. And the Lord spake unto Moses. I am in, oh man, I ran off the NIV because it's a little bit easier. I ran it off, but I left it in the house. But anyway, and the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, so he's still in a particular place. They are not in Egypt yet. I mean, they are not in Canaan yet. If I said Egypt, I meant Canaan. They left Egypt, no longer there. The enemy is not nowhere in the picture. Instructions are going on, so they're not listening and fighting at the same time. So instructions are going on. Moses and the people are at Mount Sinai, and God is giving instructions. Notice when God gives instruction and he's speaking, there's no enemy talking. There is no war going on, because he said, I need you to hear this. And the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, speak unto the children of Israel. These are the children of Israel. I'm still talking to them. I'm still managing my promise that I gave Abraham. Speak unto the children of Israel. Who is Israel? Abraham's son. Of the children of Israel. Well, it's Isaac and Jacob, who is Israel. So it's connected to Abraham. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when you come into the land, so you going now, when you come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. Let the land do its job. The land is a part of my plan. The land listens to me. The land will produce for you. The land talks to me. You don't believe it? Do something wrong. Once you want the land, let me know. You can't kill Abel. The land start talking. It wasn't used to blood being in. He said, Lord, what is this? He said, which I would give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. Let the land do its job. And then he said, this is how I want you to treat the land. 6 years thou shalt sow the field, and 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyard. He said, 6 years you're going to be able to do work like you normally do, and gather in the fruit thereof. So you get up early, go out there and put some seed in the ground, maintain it, do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. But, that means pause. In the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the Lord. Shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land. Give the land a break. Give the land a break. Work 6, break 1. Give the land a break. I think we can learn from that. Give the land a break. This land is the ground of God. This land belongs to God. I know we said this land is my land, this land is your land, from California to the New York Islands or something. When I was young, we had a song. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land. Give the land a break, a Sabbath for the Lord. Let the land, it is God's way of producing for us, the land. He said, thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard. 6 years, get up in the morning, put the seed in the ground, do what you got to do to get from the ground. But on that 7th year, give the land a break. He said, thou shalt neither sow, don't put anything in it. nor prune it. You don't have to worry about it. That which groweth of its own accord of your harvest thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of thy vine undressed, for it is a year of rest unto the land. In the seventh year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the seventh year, leave the land alone. Don't get your plow, don't get your tools, leave the land alone. That which grows of its own accord of the harvest thou shalt not reap. There are some things that grows without you doing anything. He said, don't touch it. And that part, don't you touch. Don't touch anything in the land. He said, but that which grows on its own accord of the harvest thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of thy vine undressed, for it is a year of rest unto the land. Don't you do anything with the stuff that you planted, and don't you touch the thing that you didn't that grew without you planting. Leave the land alone on the seventh year. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you and for your servants, and for your maid, and for your hired servants, and for the stranger that sojourns with you. In other words, you go into Canaan. That on the seventh year, everybody, you are not going to know who's who, because everybody is going to be eating of the land as given. Whatever the land gives you, you have a right to eat it. You don't have to say, that's my land. It won't be like that. It won't be anything that you say, that's mine. He said, it's mine. And this time I don't want you to touch it. I just want you to enjoy it. Whether you are normally owner and you got somebody that works for you, you got somebody that's coming through town. He said, this particular time, let it be what it is. Just let it be. Let me, I'm going to take charge of mine. I'm in charge anyway. But on the seventh year, I'm going to make sure that everybody is treated equally. That's the word. And this is going to be your land. The land that I'm preparing for you to get, I'm going to drive out your enemies. You're going to possess it. But on that seventh year, I don't want you to know nobody, everybody going to be doing it. I won't know the rich from the poor, because everybody is going to get a chance to eat the same way. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you and for your servants, and for the maid, and for the hired servant, and for the stranger that sojourneth with you, the people that's coming along with you. Everybody in Canaan gonna follow the rules that I'm giving you, the guideline. Then I'm gonna feed the cattle and the beasts that are in the land. Shall all the increase thereof be meat. Now who feeds the wild animals? God. He said, this time I'm going to feed the domestic animals. I'm going to feed you. You won't have to worry about a thing. And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years. And all right, that's the 7th year. So every 7th year, rest. Let the land be still. Just eat whatever it produces. And then I want you to count this 7th year, this 7 more years, this 7, 14, 21, 35, 49. He says, and when you get to that 49th year, and thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto you, 7 times 7 years, and the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 49 years. 7, that's the first 7 years, don't work. 14, leave the land alone. 21, leave the land alone. 35, leave the land alone. 49, leave the land alone. And I'm going to give you an extra year. Then thou shalt cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement shall you make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. In other words, let's get the music playing, get the trumpet playing. And you shall hallow the 50th year. You got 49 plus 1. I'm going to bless that land. He said, you're going to have talk to the land. You're going to have 2 years of rest. You don't have to plant anything. This is the time to let God show you what he can do without you doing a thing. You shall hallow the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and you shall return every man unto his possession, and you shall return every man unto his family. In other words, people that work for you, and he said, y'all go home. Go celebrate with your family. People that's in debt to you, oh, you ain't got to pay me back. I'm good. All debt cancel. Everybody that's work, go home to your own family. God said, let the world be like the way. This couple years right here, year 49 and year 50, the year of Jubilee, the year that people in debt get a chance to start over. Haven't seen your family in a long time, been working hard. God said, I never meant for you to work yourself to death. I needed you to take a break. I needed you to understand that I ordained it. I'm telling Moses in Mount Sinai, it is not my will. I'm trying to fan some of these bugs away. It's not my will that any should perish. I do not want you killing yourself. Now I want you to work, but I don't want you working all the time. I want you to have a break. But understand that I'm giving breaks at a certain time. These bugs are fighting this morning. I'm out here early, though. Excuse me, y'all. I got to spray some stuff to get these bugs out of the way. Anyway, he's saying, I want you to work 7, stop. Work 6, stop on the 7th. Work 6, stop on the 7th. Do that 7 times. And then on the 7th time, I want you to rejoice in the fact that whatever you owe, anybody that's in jail can get out of jail. Anybody, whatever it is, time up. Time to just let God show you what he can do without any help from you. What verse? 8th verse. And thou shalt number 7 sevenths. Okay, I said that. Then shalt thou cause the trumpet. Okay, I said that. And ye shall hallow the 50th year. In other words, set aside that 50th year. And proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be a jubilee unto you. And you shall return every man unto his possession. And you shall return every man unto his family. I don't want to know. I don't want to remember your past. I don't want to know who was a slave. I don't want to know. I want nothing. I want everybody to understand that I made this earth and I mean for you to enjoy it this year. A jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. You shall not sow neither reap that which groweth of itself in it, nor gather the grapes in it of the vine undressed. In other words, anything that grew out of the land by itself, anything that you put in the land, this time, don't touch the stuff that grew by itself. But don't sow anything in the land that you know you grew. You say, but that's mine. I always planted. Don't bother that. He said, no, not this time. It's not going to be that's mine, that's yours. The Lord, the God is saying everything is mine this year. I'm going to be in charge. For it is the Jubilee. It shall be holy unto you. You shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. So the land is going to increase without you doing anything about it. And I'm going to allow you to eat it. You ain't got to pay for it. All you have to do is get up and go get enough for that day. Your daily bread. Go get that. And I'm going to be your supplier. It's not going to be like that always, but it's definitely in my plan for you to enjoy your life. Just enjoy it. And then consider and know that I'm God, watching me keep my word. For it is the Jubilee. It shall be holy unto you. Ye shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. This is holiness. This is saying, let me serve you. Let me be the one to wait on you. Because I definitely want you waiting on me. 6 years, you got to get up and do what you got to do. But on that 7th year, let me do to you what I wanted to do for Adam. I wanted Adam to have this all the time. But I'm just like, okay, I got to give it to them. I want them to work 6 years by the sweat of their brow. But on that 7th year, my people, let me show you what it's like to be in the Garden of Eden. Just get up and go pick the fruit. But I always remember, don't touch those things that I said don't touch. And if you sell out unto your neighbor, and if you sell anything unto your neighbor, or buy anything of your neighbor's hand, ye shall not oppress one another. He said, now, I told you how I'm going to feed you. Let me tell you now how to deal with business. And if you sell anything to your neighbor or buy anything to your neighbor out of your neighbor's hand, you shall not oppress one another. In other words, you're not getting ready to take advantage of a situation. In other words, you're going to just go, can you give me, you got a sign that says you get 5 for $1. And then you say, can I get that for 50 cents? He said, nah, there ain't gonna be none of that. And then the other guy gonna say, the one that owns the stuff, well, you know, I got to make some money off of that. He said, won't be no negotiation like that. You're going to buy at the right price. He's going to sell at the right price. Nobody's going to be oppressed. According to the number of years after the Jubilee, thou shalt buy of your neighbor, and according to the number of years of the fruit, he shall sell unto you. All right, the Jubilee is going to be the one that regulates everything. The Jubilee says, okay, if we got, okay, let's say this is after the Jubilee now. This is after the rest. And then you got to start looking for the next rest, which will be the next 50 years. You got to adjust your prices according to the Jubilee. So the thing that you buy today might be higher because of, it may be, let's say you got 35 more years before the Jubilee is to take place again. Then you have a right to say, if it's $1 a year, you owe me $35. Or you owe me, if it's 35 more years, now you owe me, if you want to keep it up until the time of Jubilee, you got to pay more. But the closer you get to that 50th year, you pay less. So the more years away, the more it costs. That's the only thing that can raise the price. This is the time God is saying, with my people, I don't want you just thinking of prices. I want you to have it fair. Jubilee controls how much things cost, whether or not it costs more or whether it costs less. Is based on how many years will it take to get back to the land where you're not going to pay anything at all. So, but what we do today is we just come up with numbers, whatever we think that is conveniently to our advantage. Okay, it's going to cost this. God said, not in my plan. Everything going to be based on a scale. So Jubilee controls how much you pay and how much it costs. So it'll always be something that you can understand. It won't be that little bit of fine print. You know that it's worth this according to the Jubilee, and you cannot charge any interest. Anyway, let's go back to the word. Jubilee makes sense to me because everybody can understand it. You can understand how long you just don't wonder about. The court does not have to make the decisions in the transaction of business because the Jubilee kept everything in control. Verse 16, according to the multitude of years, how many years thou shalt increase the price thereof. In other words, if you got 45 years before another Jubilee, okay, give me $45. If you got 15 years before another Jubilee buying the same thing, give me $15. You got 10 years before the Jubilee comes again, give me $10. If you got 5 years, give me $5. Will there ever be a no dollar? Nope. Because God said within that 2 years, there's a period that you stop. You don't take advantage of nobody now. According to the years, you shall increase the price thereof. According to the fewness of years, thou shalt diminish the price of it. For according to the number of the years of the fruit does he sell unto thee. In other words, balance it. You shall not therefore oppress one another, but thou shalt fear God. Do it right. Whatever is right, that's what you have a right to collect. For I am the Lord your God. Because what people like to do, like I go to the bank and I might borrow $10,000. And they're gonna charge me so much money until so much interest where you got to pay 35% on every dollar that you borrowed. And then you owe triple what you borrowed. God said, I ain't gonna have that. I mean, my people not getting ready to live like that. It's just a world we are doing things. Taxing you, collecting you, gouging you. Good morning. Price gouging. He said, I'm not doing anything like that. Wherefore ye shall do my statutes and keep my judgment and do them, and ye shall dwell in the land of safety. Why don't we trust God? Get a land a break and be fair with the people. That's all God is saying. You are so set aside that I don't want none of your ways like the world's way, because the world ways are not right. You have a chance. You should be able to buy a house and know exactly how much it costs and why it costs that much. But we got so many ins and outs and ups and downs and big print, little print, no print. We got so many ways that we do people until God said, I never intended for you to live like life is supposed to make sense. You buy anything, you ought to be in charge of what you buy. You ought to know that you're going to be penalized if you don't pay this. You ought to know what you're paying. And nobody's supposed to overcharge you. And then you're not supposed to take advantage of the people that own the stuff. Everything is regulated by the day that nobody will have to pay anything. But what we do, and boy, won't we hold a grudge. Look at God's love in this Jubilee. I'm not holding a grudge against you. I'm actually doing to you what I want you to do to each other. Forgive and live and watch him. Just let me be God. We have, Lord have mercy. I wish I had known this, but I'm learning it now. And the land shall yield her fruit. He said, don't worry about the land. If I tell you that I got you, I promise you I got you. And the land shall yield her fruit, and ye shall eat your field, what's your portion, and dwell therein in safety. In other words, no war is coming out during this time. Nobody gonna come in and bother your fruit. You ain't got to worry about, oh, they're getting too much. You don't have to worry about that. Everybody can mind their own business. Everybody can sit down and watch me do what I do. Everybody can get in the word and let me talk. You don't have no reason to get up and do nothing but worship me. Get up and know the word of God. Get up and enjoy your neighbors. Get up and enjoy your family. Because all of it, this is one time it won't be a separation of the blacks, the white, the rich, the poor, the blind. Everybody, won't nobody know nothing but it's time to eat, and all you got to do is go get it. And get enough for you. You don't have to worry, but just get enough for the day now. You don't have to be greedy, because I got you. And if you say, what shall we eat the 7th year? I mean, if we don't get up and do what we normally do, how we gonna eat? You say you're gonna ask that question. Behold, we shall not sow nor gather in our increase. So how we gonna eat? How we gonna eat, Lord? You saying do this, but how we gonna do it? He said, I am my word. What I say I am, I am. Then I will command my blessings upon you in the 6th year, and it shall bring forth fruit for 3 years. He said, look, let me tell you how it's going to work. Check this out. You're going to work 6 years, and the 7th year, I'm going to be the one that's providing. But on that 49th year, when you get to that 48th year, when you get right there, I'm going to bless you for the 49th year. I'm going to bless you for the 50th year. I'm going to bless you for, I hate to say it, since it's counted by sevens. I'm going to bless you for the 7th year. I'm going to bless you for the 8th year. And then I'm going to throw in the 9th year. Because I know you got to have some time to get back to work. So I got to make sure you got enough in your lunchbox while you go back to work. But you going back to work, but for 3 years, the 6th year gonna handle it. It's gonna handle the 6th year. When the ground on the 6th year, this is how God had that thing set up for the agriculture. He said on the 6th year, you don't have to do anything. That ground is gonna automatically get in navigation. You know how you can put your foot, you can set your car to cruise. He said you're gonna cruise 7th year, 8th year, and the 9th year. He said, because I got to keep my word for you on the 49th, because that's a regular year, you all. Then I'm going to throw in the 50th year, and then you get 2 years. And then I'm going to let you have that 9th year, because I know you got to go back to work, and you got to wait till that crop comes back in. So I got you. He said that land, that navigation, that cruise button going to get in there. And all I want you to do is let me have these 3 years, and you just enjoy yourself. I'm not hard to get along with. I just need somebody to get to know me. That means that's just good for scientists. That's good for doctors. That's good for families. That's good. You get to know your children. You get a chance to teach your kids about me. You get a chance to love me. Hey, this is a vacation from God. He said, put it on your calendar. Then I will command my blessings upon you in the 6th year, and it shall bring forth for 3 years. The land works for me. The land waits every morning to tell me, should I grow or should I not? And ye shall sow the 8th year and eat of the old fruit. In other words, you still eating off of what God was giving the year before. Until the 9th year, until her fruit comes, and ye shall eat of the old store. God said, let the store, I promise you, you can go to Kroger and food will not diminish. You go to Publix, they said, well, we ain't even doing nothing. God said, you just go there. And I mean, he said, you're going to be eating straight up out the ground now, but let's say it was a grocery store. All you know is when you go up in the grocery store, all the bread already on the shelf. How I get there? God did it. How the meat get, that's the best meat? God did it. How's the wine tasting good? God did it. Who did it? God did it. The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine. But you are strangers and sojourners with me. Now he said, let me tell you something about this land. You can lease it, and you can enjoy it. But in 50 years, I'm going to take back some. You got to give it up anyway. So it's not yours. You have it for a period of time. And that keeps you humble, knowing that everybody renting. That mine, you can't take it. I just walk with God. And in all the land of your possession, you shall grant a redemption for the land. In other words, anything that you possess, it can be redeemed. All right? Because sometimes, all right, let's see what happens. So God said, okay, let's see what happens if you get a bump in the road. Just in case you got this land that you are owning for a period of time, but somebody didn't manage something right. What do you do? He said, if your brother he just did so much he got poor. Now remember that the Jubilee forgave everybody. But then, let's just say somebody just didn't handle it right. If your brother be waxing poor and has sold away some of his possession, and if any of his kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which is his brother's soul. In other words, somebody ran across some hard time, because there will be, and he had to sell his portion of the land that he was leasing, but actually he says mine at this time. He said, his kinfolk can come and get him out of debt. And then you got to give him his land back. I like the way God does things. And if the man have none to redeem it, he said, if he ain't got nobody to help him out, and himself be able to redeem it, then let him count the years of the sale thereof, and restore the overplus unto the man to whom he sold it, that he may return unto his possession. In other words, If somebody get in debt, but they work themselves out of debt, he said put him back where he was. Don't make him feel like, well, you know what, I'm going to make it hard. He said, no, don't do that. If he fell on hard times, then he finds a way, nobody helped him out, but he found a way to pay you off. Then let him pay you off. But if he be not able to restore it to him, then that which is sold shall remain in the hand of him that has bought it until the year of Jubilee. And in the Jubilee shall it go out, and he shall return unto his possession. In other words, let's say the guy can't ever pay you back, and Jubilee give it back to him. He said, now you can keep it all the way up. Let it stay in your possession, because he didn't have anybody to get him out of debt. He couldn't get himself out of debt. But he said, in Jubilee, let the man start over. Forgive the man. Don't hold a grudge so long. At some point, treat it like it never happened. Get land back to the man. It's mine anyway. I'm just telling you how you can stay blessed by obeying what I said. And if a man sell a dwelling house in a walled city, this is the downtown part. No land connected to this. And if a man sell a dwelling house in a walled city, then he may redeem it with a whole year. He may redeem it within a whole year after it is sold. So if somebody sells something that's in the city, he got a whole year to pay it back. Within a full year, may he redeem it. As long as it's with a whole year, he can get it back. And if it be not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be established forever to him that bought it throughout his generation. It shall not go out in the Jubilee. All right, if somebody living in the city and they sold their property in the city, he said he can buy it back within a year. He said, but if you don't get it back in a year, then it belongs to the person that you sold it to. And that's the time it's definitely yours. No land connected to it now. But if somebody get in debt and sell you something that's in the city, and they got a year, they can buy it back just as clear. But if they can't pay it back within a year, and this is not even talking about land, it's just an apartment or somewhere in the city, he said the person that got you out of debt can keep that land. And even during Jubilee, they don't have to give it back. It can stay in their family forever. But it ain't you ain't got no land, no cattle. But the houses of the, all right, let me go back and read the 30th. And it shall not be, and if it be not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be established forever to him that bought it throughout his generations. It shall not go out in the Jubilee. So if you get out in the city and it's a house or apartment, well, a house in the city, and they can't afford to buy it back within a year, he said just keep it. We're not going back and forth. I see that as saying, God is saying, land is cheaper in the city because you don't have any land. I mean, houses are cheaper in the city if it's behind the wall. And if you can't afford to pay that back within a year, let that man keep that. We're not getting over that little bit. That's not going to happen. Even during the Jubilee, it's still his. But the houses of the village which have no walls round about them shall be counted as the fields, the land of the country. They may be redeemed, and they shall go out in the Jubilee. So as long as it's got land connected to it, work it, and if they can't pay it, give it back to them at the end of the Jubilee. But the houses of the village which have no walls round about them shall be counted as the field of the country. They may be redeemed. I just read that. And they shall go out in the Jubilee. Now, the cities of the Levites. All right, now I got to talk about the priests. They got a special thing going on with them. And the houses of the cities of their possession may the Levites redeem at any time. They don't have to wait. If a Levite get into a position where he has to sell his land, he can buy it back anytime. You don't have to have a year to say, well, I ain't get it in a year, they're going to keep it. He said, no, a Levite, if he falls on hard time, anytime he get the money to get it back, he can get it. And if a man purchase of the Levite, then the house that was sold in the city of his possession shall go out in the year of Jubilee. In other words, if the Levite sell a house, then in Jubilee, it goes back to, let's read that again. And if a man purchase of the Levite, if he buy from the Levite, then the house that was sold and the city of his possession shall go out in the year of Jubilee. So the priest had a different way of real estate. If they sold it, then it goes back to them anyway. It's going to come back to them anyway. You can't keep it, even if it's behind the wall, even if it's in the city. If they let you have something in the city, and then the year of Jubilee came back, it goes back to them. You can't have that forever. For the house of the city of the Levites are their possession among the children of Israel. These guys that's waiting on you, making sure that you got that your sins are being atoned for, they don't live by the same rules as a person that's just a Israelite. They get a chance to sell a house, or they get a chance to buy a house in the city, but their houses, they can pay it back, they can get it out of debt at any time, and at the end of the year, of the 50 years, they get their land back, they get that house, whether it's inside that city or outside that city. The Levites had a different set of blessings on them. But the field of the suburbs of their cities may not be sold. There's certain parts that the Levites own, you can't sell that. But it is their perpetual possession. They're going to always have somewhere to live. Anybody that serve God's people like that, he said, you live on a different anointing. You live up on a different banking system, because you always looking out for somebody. You doing things, you separated to God, to always be used by God for people. And he said, when it come down to you, it's a whole different system. And sometimes the Levites got in debt, but they had a system. Say, I can't get it today, but I'll get it in 2 years from now. And all you had to do is say, you a Levite, let me see your license. If you got those credentials as a Levite, you can come back and get your stuff. It's different when you totally directly working with people like that. And God said, you gonna work with folk the way you got to work, or you got to work. And then you got some privileges. Take thou no usury of him, or increase, but fear God. In other words, don't you charge them folk that? Wait a minute, hold up, I missed the verse. 35. And if your brother be waxing poor, if he done got to the point that he just losing money by the day, and fall into decay with you. In other words, he done got to a point that decay means he just got rotten. He just ain't doing nothing. He can't get out of debt. Then you shall relieve him. He said, if your brother get to the point he just cannot pay you back after all that he has done, he can't get out of debt, he said, relieve him. Yea, if he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with you. He said, you're going to have to let it go, because this guy got to live with you. And he can't pay you back. Oh, Lord, he got to get out of my house. He said, if he can't pay you back, he said, thou shalt relieve him. Don't make a person, some people just don't do well with money. They try. He said, but relieve him. Just say, don't worry about it. That he may live with you. Take no usury of him, or increase, but fear God. In other words, let God be to you what that man was not. He said, let God do it. Relieve him. Don't let him, don't kill him. He don't have any money now. He beating himself up every night trying to see how he gonna pay. He said, let that guy go. And then don't say, if you ever get back on your feet, that you got to give me extra. He said, don't do that. that your brother may live with you. In other words, y'all live in harmony. Because at the end of the day, it's all mine. Thou shalt not give him your money upon usury, nor lend him thy food, victuals for increase. Don't do anything to make that man's life any harder than what it already is. Protect his mind. You shall not give him your money upon usury, nor lend him thy victuals for increase. In other words, I'm going to give you this, but you got to pay me back double. No, God, don't do that. I am the Lord your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt. In other words, I brought you out with nothing. You had absolutely nothing. You were a slave, and I did for you what I want you to do for somebody else, just a little bit. I am the Lord your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God. He said, I did all that for you. Now you just got to do your portion for somebody else that may be in the position that you were in, that was in bondage. And if your brother that dwells by you be waxen poor and be sold unto you, then thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant. If your brother has to work for you because he can't pay his debt, he said, don't treat him like a slave, but as a hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with you, and he shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee. In other words, if somebody get in debt and they got to come to you and work off their debt, he said, let the guy work for you until Jubilee. Let him know you got to stay here until Jubilee now. And then you got to treat him like, you got to treat him right. And then shall he depart from you, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family, and unto the possession of his father shall he return. Nothing and nobody belongs to you. There's a day that all debt has to be paid, and you can't, I don't care how good it is or how good he was. At the time it's time for him to go, you got to remember, let him go. Remember, I brought you out. Now, you got to do the same thing I did. But they are my servants, which I have brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondmen. He said, these are my folk. You ain't putting them folk back in bondage. Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor. And don't be hard on your staff. He said, don't do that to people. Don't be hard on people. If somebody working for you, under you, he said, treat him like a brother. Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shall fear your God. Every time we treat people in any way, treat them right as unto the Lord. Both your bondmen and your bondsmaid which thou shalt have shall be of the heathens that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaid. Now, if you get somebody that's not in line with the word, then you can buy them. But when it come down to my people or your brother, he said, you can't do that. Moreover, of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall you buy, and of their family that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. And you shall take them as an inheritance for your children. In other words, if you get somebody to work for you that didn't have a job and needed something, even though they were not Israelites, you can buy them to work for you, and then you can pass them down to your children, and you shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever, but over your brother, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule over another with rigor. He said, now, people that come to you and not a part of my plan, and they want to be purchased by you, or they are under your command, you can pass them down from family to family. He said, but not an Israelite. So is God saying that a person that has no fellowship with him can be owned by a person that does? A person that's not in fellowship with God, being under the leadership of a person with God, can you own him, or can you get the debt paid? Can it forever work with you? Let me tell you how I'm quickly thinking of this. A man that does not know God, and he works for a man that does know God, and he never changes his mind, and he stays in that mindset, you are his eyes. He'll never see. So what is this saying? If a man does not commit his ways to God, and you are a person that do seek God, why would you let that man go back out and be in a worse shape when you the best thing that ever happened to him? And then you got to treat him right. He does not know God, and he may not ever decide to come to God, because once he becomes like you, then he gets the same rights you have. But if a man does not know God, and then you that know God, you don't want to let the guy go back out there no way, because what's going to happen to him? He's going to be in a lot of trouble. He's going to be blessed to let you be his guide, and then to pass him down to the next. So you're not necessarily saying, well, he did say, let's just say what the word says, and you shall take them as, it says, moreover, of the children of the stranger that do go along with you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever. But over your brother, the children of Israel, you shall not rule one over another with rigor. He said, no, even if they work for you, you still got to treat them right. But they don't see what you see. And they can't have what you have. So to be under you is probably the best thing ever happened to them. All that goodness they're going to get just by being with you, then you own them. Because they wouldn't be under you if they could see by themselves. So if a man can't see, and he with people that can see, he's blind, you can see, so therefore he needs you. And that means you can pass him down to the next person in your family that can see. But that's not for you to get excited. See, God does ordain slavery now. He was basically saying, if somebody come in that need you because they can't get the blessings that I have on them like I got on you, they can work for you. I love them just enough for them to hang around you, because they don't want to see me. So let them live off the goodness under you, because I'm promising what I told Abraham. I'm going to bless you. And anybody that works under you going to be blessed because of you. Does that make sense? So if you asking that question, did God just prove that he owned a slave? That's not what I'm saying. Some people just not going to ever get it. They don't want me. They don't want me to be Lord of their life. So then if they come to you and you do good to them folk, they don't want to leave you no way. And if a sojourner or a stranger wax rich, suppose they get rich by you, and your brother that dwells by him wax poor, suppose a stranger learn your ways enough to get rich through you, because that could happen too. Thy brother that dwells by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger, or sojourn by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family. In other words, what you did got them rich, and now you got a problem. See what's going to happen. After that he is sold, he may be redeemed. Again, one of his brethren may redeem him. In other words, if a stranger gets smart enough to work under you, and now you got to submit to him, God said, hey, tap him on the shoulder. You can go get your brother. Now, they can't go nowhere if it's them. But let me make sure I'm saying that right. And if a sojourner or a stranger wax rich by you, and your brother that dwells by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family, after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. In other words, you don't never keep God's people. I don't care if they do fall on hard times. They coming out. After that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brethren may redeem him. In other words, you see your brother, you know, I want y'all so protected that if an Israelite, a child of Israel, one of the descendants of Abraham, get in trouble, you will never be owned by nobody. God said, go get your brother. Let one of your kinfolk get you out of debt. Either his uncle or his uncle's son may redeem him, or that is nigh of kin unto him, of his family may redeem him, or if he be able, he may redeem himself. My people will never get back in bondage. You will never get back in bondage. Even if it looked like the stranger winning, I'm going to give you a way out. Because I promised Abraham. Y'all can do some stupid thing. He said, you can get entangled and then the stranger can get more than you. I ain't saying the stranger not smart enough to learn, but he'll never own you. And he shall reckon with him that bought him from the year that was sold to him unto the year of Jubilee. In other words, well, how far Jubilee from now? But that's how much you got to pay. And the price of his sale shall be according unto the number of years, according to the time of hired servant, shall he be with him. In other words, ain't nobody going to take advantage of you. Don't worry about it. As long as you stay in my plan, nobody will stay. Nobody will get you. If there be yet many years behind, according to them, he shall give again the price of his redemption out of the money that he was bought for. And if there remain but a few unto the year of Jubilee, in other words, if you got a long time before Jubilee, you got to pay a little bit more to get out of debt. If you got a short time, you got to just pay a little bit. Then shall he count with him, and according unto his years shall he give him again the price of his redemption. In other words, if a believer get in trouble, he gonna get out. And if he can't get out, I'll send my son to pay the debt. He coming out. If he ain't got nobody on earth that can redeem him back to his rightful place, I'll send my son. And as a yearly hired servant shall he be with him, and the other shall not rule with rigor over him in your sight. He said, ain't nobody gonna be bossing nobody around. He's not gonna treat people wrong. They're not a part of my plan. This is the good plan God got for the children of Israel. Only if they obey. And if he be not redeemed in these years, then he shall go out in the year of Jubilee, both he and his children with him. In other words, there is a day that you're going to be set free. You can believe that. If nobody there to get you out, you can rejoice knowing that one day I'm coming out of here. I may not have anybody that thinking about me, but think about Joseph. When they sold Joseph, God said they ain't gonna stay like that. I don't care what you going through if you mine. You coming out. You coming out. When they were trying to take Paul and keep him in bondage, God called the whole National Guard, all the military folk, go get that boy. I'm gonna get what's mine. I don't care. If you're gonna love me the way I love you, boy, you connected. I didn't say you weren't gonna go through nothing. I just said just know that you ain't gonna stay in there that long. It's an appointed time. They gotta let you go. For unto me the children of Israel are servants. You my people. They are my servants whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord, your God. I'm getting ready to eat the 26th. This 25th. The landlord. My God, 25. God said, I got this thing. Don't mess it up. I got it planned. I got it worked out for you. Stick with me. Love it. Talk to y'all later. Bye. Have a good day.